Black Ops 6 Season 3 Reloaded just dropped, so for today I have for you the absolute new best settings that you should be using if you want to fully take advantage of the update. Ladies and gentlemen, what I first recommend you guys to do is to go down over to the account and network settings and then turn off the dismember and gore effects. It's going to make it so your game runs a little bit better. It's not going to lag as much. When I turn this off, I got less packet burst, so my game actually started crashing less, given it still crashes a lot. So it doesn't fix everything, but I still recommend you guys to do that. Now, this video is going to be focused on controller and PC and console. So if you're looking for keybinds, I'm not going to be going over that, but everything else, I got you guys covered. It's my job to be good at the game, and so rest assured, you're going to have the best settings. So one thing I do recommend you guys to do if you do play with the headset, I have the Kiwi Ear Orchestra lights, so they're just little headphones, same thing as a headset. It just doesn't mess up my floppy hair. And so I recommend you guys to change the frequencies to this. This is going to make it so the footsteps are a lot bassier, so they're going to be a little bit louder while everything else is quieter. If you don't notice the difference, or you feel like it's worse, or it's just messing with your head, like you can't tell if it's better, I honestly would just keep everything on default. This is what I copied from another very good player and what a lot of other players do use. It's going to be the same for the left and the right. For the audio mix, again, this part doesn't really matter too much. You want to use the headphone bass boost or the sucker punch. To me, the sucker punch sounds a little bit better. It helps me get into that flow state. Now you can get the enhanced audio, the headphone mode configuration. The personalized doesn't really help you too much, but if you do purchase the audio pack, it is going to help you, but I don't really recommend giving money to the company. But if you are trying to do the best of the best, you should probably purchase it. I just do not recommend giving money to them. Don't hate on me for that. And then the rest of the stuff on here is not going to really matter besides your microphone volume. You always want to be the loudest one in the lobby. And that should wrap it up for the audio settings. So now let's go over to the controller one. So I do use an Xbox Elite V2 controller. This is going to be a very fancy controller, kind of expensive. I keep everything absolutely default. I can increase the tightness and everything, and I just still keep it default. All the things on the back are going to be default. And I recommend using a controller with paddles just so you can take advantage of the omnidirectional movement. But if you don't have paddles, I will give you certain settings that help you out. Now, before I get a lot of comments of people asking about the Control Freak, this thing basically makes it so I don't have to move the stick as much to be able to be accurate, and it just helps me lock onto targets a little bit better. And I've been genuinely using this Control Freak since I was like 13 years old. Now I'm 24. There are so many videos and comments about streamers having a Cronus and aimbot, but in reality, we just use Control Freaks. These are a controller stick attachment that not only adds grip, but also allows you to be more precise since the right stick will be slightly raised. Seriously, these Control Freaks have made me 10 times the player, made it so much easier to hit iridescent, and just overall be very consistent on the game. I've been using Control Freaks since I was like 14 years old playing Black Ops 3. Recently, they dropped the new Speed Cola edition that comes with the collector's can, which are now my new go-to ones. I'm gonna be using these to grind for Dansk and hit iridescent on Black Ops 6 rank play. So if you do want to level up your skill like the pros and the streamers, make sure you guys go pick up a pair of Control Freaks today and use code CBAS for a nice discount. So if you don't have a fancy controller, or you don't want to play claws, so you basically have your pointer finger up here, allowing you to be able to, jump and move while still being able to aim, I recommend going over to your button layout, and then we are going to be swapping this over to bumper jumper tactical, or you can just do bumper jumper. Look through those and find the one that's best for you. Obviously, it's going to take some time to get used to, but you're going to get a lot better at the game. For these sensitivities, if you're playing Warzone, I recommend like 1.65 and up, because there's going to be a lot more tracking. The enemies are moving somewhat faster, and they're not moving faster, but you just have to, it takes a little bit longer to kill them, especially up close. And so you're definitely going to need a little bit of a higher sensitivity. Now, if I'm only playing multiplayer, which I kind of do, I'll have it on like 1.42 or 1.55. In pubs, there's so many things going on, like on Nuketown when I'm going for nukes, that the higher sensitivity is a little bit helpful just to be able to snap on all of my targets. But if I were to only play ranked, I'd probably do 1.42, and that's closer to like the old 6.6, and that makes it so you can lock onto targets like crazy. And this isn't really necessarily for your aim, like your ADS aim. It's more so for your centering, which then leads to very good aim, and I'll get more into that a little bit later. And so overall, keep it between like 1.42 and 1.65. The highest I would go is 1.8. For the bumper ping, I don't like to ping the enemies. I think it's extremely cheesy, especially just because I only play multiplayer, so I have mine off. But Warzone, I do know that is a pretty helpful thing. You can swap the bumpers with the triggers, so then you're clicking a button rather than pulling down a trigger. And that's one thing about this controller, is that I actually have a trigger lock, and so now I only have to pull it down like partially for it to actually register. The like the Battle Beaver controllers, I believe, or some of the other ones, it's just like a clickable button like the one that's on the mouse. So those ones are a little bit better, and so in those cases you don't really need to swap it. Turn off the controller vibration. I know it might feel good in your lap sometimes, but don't be weird. Turn it off. You're gonna have better aim. Less things shaking in your hand should lead to better aim. Now the dead zone inputs, extremely important. So left stick min, I have it at 1. Even with the brand new controller, like I just got this one, I'm still gonna have it on 1 just because like it just makes it so you don't accidentally move sometimes, and just trust me on it, it makes it a little bit better. For the left stick max, we're gonna have this at 65. The highest I would go is 75, and the lowest I would go is 45. This is going to make it so I only have to move that left stick to 65% of the way if I wanted to get to 100% movement speed. So if I lowered this down to like, 20, I only have to move it 20% of the way to get to max movement speed. But then you're not going to be as precise, and you might move in ways that you don't really want to. And so for me, I found around 65 is going to be the best, but I've seen a lot of very, very good players go down to like 45. For the right stick min, even on a brand new controller, I have it on 5, because if it's too low, sometimes you're going to overcompensate for your aim. And I guess on a brand new controller, you could probably go down to like 3, but I wouldn't go past 3, because then you're gonna just overcompensate, and sometimes you can have like a stickier aim on a higher dead zone. And then if you do need to go past like 5 or past like 8, you might want to consider a new controller. For the right stick max, we're gonna have that 99. Then left trigger, right trigger, we're gonna have this at 0. So this makes it so you don't really have to swap the bumpers with the triggers. You can just hit the trigger and then it's gonna register on the game. And next up, for the aiming settings, we're gonna go to sensitivity multiplier. I have mine at 0.85, so now when I'm ADS, it's gonna be at 85% of my sensitivity, and that's just gonna make it a little bit easier to stay on target. I wouldn't really go lower than 0.85. One way to find a good sense is just to go into a private match and play against some bots, or you can go into Plunder, and if you're on Warzone, and just play around and just find the one that you're consistent with. And I wouldn't really put too much thought into it, because you can get used to any sensitivity. You're just finding one that you're consistent with. And so just don't be one of those players where you're just going back and forth on your sense. You can get used to any sense and get very good on like max sense. But the ADS sensitivity transition time, and this is going to be another personal preference thing. A lot of pros play on gradual, a lot of pros play on instant. And so if you do have a lower ADS sense, like mine's 0.85, this means it's going to gradually get down to 0.85. And for me, I just feel like I was locking onto targets a little bit easier. Some players do like it, so right when you start aiming in, it immediately goes to 0.85. I like the gradual, which the instant seems more consistent, but I just do so much better with gradual, and I've seen a lot of pro players with gradual. So again, don't really think about it. It's all personal preference. The aim response curve type is not. If you play on linear, you're dog shit. I'm so sorry. I pissed off like a quarter of the amount of people that have watched this video. There's a reason why everybody has crazy aim and just tracks everybody, and everyone started shooting back, and why every single professional player plays on dynamic. If the professional players are playing on something, you should probably play on that as well. The lower you lower the aim response curve type, the closer you are going to get to linear, which is just a less aim assist. And the lowest I've ever seen someone go was like Colt Havoc, and he was at like 0.92. And just sometimes, the sensitivity might be a little bit too strong. Now, if you do snipe, you can actually just increase your scope sense, so then the drag shots are a little bit easier. For the target aim assist, obviously you want that on. Motion sensor advanced doesn't really matter. Now over for the movement settings, I have mine on tactical sprint assist, so now I'm going to automatically tactical sprint. Given if somebody is not tactical sprinting, they're just regular sprinting, like they have this off, then they're actually going to pull up their gun a little bit faster than me. But in this game, you are always sliding into gunfights, so where having auto tac sprint really isn't going to affect you negatively like it would in the other Call of Duties. And then make sure you do show more and lower that sprint assist delay, and then turn on the sprint assist sideways and the backward. For the mantle assist, we're going to have all of these off, and then mantle assist angle tight. You want it just to have full control of your game. You should try to get to the point where the game isn't really helping you, besides aim assist, because aim assist is you kind of need it. It's very helpful. For the slide/dive behavior, we're going to have this on hybrid. This is going to allow you to dolphin dive by holding that left stick and clicking the slide button at the same time. So you got to do a little bit of a combo, and if you're not used to it, you're going to accidentally dolphin dive whenever you don't mean to. But this is going to just give you that power to dolphin dive, which is helpful if you want to dolphin dive onto ledges. You can dolphin dive off a window, bounce off the window ledge, and then land on your feet, so you can cancel out some things. And it really is helpful, and I really do recommend you guys, but I'm not sure if they fixed it yet in the update. The slide to prone is broken, so you have to have it on slide only. But if you're on hybrid, it should be fixed by now. But if it's not fixed, you can just do slide only, then you can do the slide to prone thing. And then the sprint restore on, slide maintain sprint on, parachute automatic behavior off, mantle cancels reload off. Movement advanced settings, we are going to be going down over here to the single tap run. It's going to make it so you only have to tap that left stick once if you want to go into a tactical sprint. If you require that, like if you're laying down and you want to go into a sprint, you only got to tap it once. So definitely do that one. Plunging underwater free gives you more control. And then yeah, just turn all of these on, and that should wrap it up for, oh, now we got the combat settings. So body shield and the finishing move behavior, we're going to be prioritizing that body shield. So then, if you want to violate your enemies, you can prioritize that. It's always important. Get in the enemy's head, and sometimes you get into a different part. Okay, armor behavior, we got apply all, C4 detonation activation all at once, equipping behavior hold. manual fire behavior press. Combat advanced settings, this is going to be prioritize interact or prioritize reload. So for me, I like it so if I have to reload my gun, sometimes it's faster mid gunfight to pick up a gun off the floor, and I hope it has more ammo. And so that this will make it so you can pick up those guns off the floor very easily. If you're not used to it, you're going to accidentally pick up guns. It's going to be very annoying, but it's like the hybrid one. I truly think it's a lot better, and a lot of pros play on this one. Like, I'll get a kill, and if I know, like, if I'm top in trips on, like, if I go up the zip line on protocol and I kill an enemy up there and I have to go kill some people below, then sometimes I'll pick up the guy's gun of the guy I just killed, you know, in the air. Like, I'll shoot him, the gun's falling, I'll pick up his gun and then start shooting at the people down below. And so it can give you a lot of cool clips. And then Warzone, you just it makes you loot faster. Okay, for the sprint cancels reload off, akimbo behavior independent, and just turn all of these on. And then we're going to go down to the scoreboard map stats behavior toggle, overlay advanced settings, directional buttons moderate off default. Actually, I think the glitch is gone. There was a weird glitch where you couldn't call in your streaks in Warzone, but I think they fixed that. I don't really play Warzone too much though. But that's going to wrap it up for the controller settings. Now we're going to be going over graphic, which if you're on console, it is going to look a little bit different, but stay tuned. You still want to just, you know, look at these ones because some things are going to apply to you. Just skip over the stuff that doesn't. So full screen exclusive is going to be the better one, but since I'm a streamer, I got to use the other monitors and stuff like that, so I have it on full screen borderless. And then we're going to be going down over to the automatic, and I got a 40 windy in here, and then NVIDIA reflex low latency on plus boost, eco mode custom, VSync off, VSync menus off, custom frame limit, we have mine on unlimited. But you know, actually if you do custom and then cap it, so whatever you like, my monitor only goes up to I think 260. Actually no, I think it goes up to 360, so I'm just gonna put it on 300. And then the menu, you know, we don't need to make the computer work harder than it needs to, and so there's that. And then optimal for the resolution, pause game rendering off, reduce quality when inactive 10 minutes, focus mode 0. And yeah, copy down that stuff, nothing too crazy. For the quality, we're basically going to make it so your game looks the best but also runs the best, and more so leaning on running the best. And why is my VRAM skill target so low? I should be at 90. That was that was bad. Okay, so we're gonna have the graphic preset on custom, dynamic resolution off, upscale / sharpening. Why did my game got reset? I don't know why it always does this all the time, bro. It pisses me off. We're gonna put on fidelity, put that at 100, or the lowest I'll go is 50. Go into a game and find the one that you like. I think 99% of the people here are gonna like 100. And you don't need the DLSS. Like, the game looks so much better on fidelity. It's so much easier to spot the enemies out. With the texture resolution, I have mine on high because I already get like 300 FPS, and so this is gonna make it so my stream looks better. But if I'm not streaming, I'll just do it on low. Very low just makes the game look a little too ugly. And then texture filter anisotropic, low depth of field off, detail quality low, particle resolution very low, bullet impacts you get more FPS with that off, but I sometimes need to see the recoil patterns for videos. Persistent effects off, shader quality on high. This is going to make it so your camos look a little bit better. And then on-demand texture streaming minimal, and local texture streaming low. And then we're going to go shadow quality very low, screen space shadows high. Actually, sorry, for the shadow quality, we're going to put that on low. I thought that was something else, but it's not. You guys can see that it's a little bit easier to actually see the map. There's less shadows, and so then it's going to be easy to spot those enemies, and everything looks a little bit sharper. And so definitely do that one. And then shadow reflection quality low, occlusion space lighting off, screen space reflections, we're going to put this on high. And then so now this with the shadows makes your camos look good. If you don't care about camos, we're gonna have both of these on off. For the tessellation off, volumetric quality low. It's kind of crazy if you're used to play with it on low and then you put it on high and go to like vault. It's crazy. Like, the game, like, there's crazy light everywhere and it changes. Like, the game actually feels completely different. Deferred physics quality off, weather grid volumes off, water quality off. And that's gonna wrap it up for the quality. Now let's tab over to the view, which is going to be more so important for the well, now we can involve the console players. So field of view, I like to have mine at 103. If you're playing multiplayer, you don't really need to see that much of the map. It's going to be a lot more beneficial to have a lower FOV. A lot of the players on like optic, given optic's not doing that good, but a lot of pro players who have won chips, they play in like 97 98 FOV, and it makes it a lot easier to stay on target, and you're going to do a lot better. So if you are playing multiplayer, don't go past 105. If you're on Warzone, you want to stick between like 115 and 120. Biffle, a player that wins the World Series of Warzone every single year, he plays on 120, so that says a lot. But on multiplayer, he would lower, I guarantee you. ADS field of view affected, weapon field of view wide, third person field of view 90, weapon, vehicle field of view default. We're going to turn down the blurs, turn those off, and then we're going to make it so everything just shakes a little bit less, and then invert the flashbang. I prefer it black yep, that's wrap it up for the graphics settings, which we went over the audio. Now lastly, the interface, which is super important. Don't skip over this part. If you guys do find this video helpful and you want more helpful videos and the best classes and things like that, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel with the noties on, leave a like and leave a comment if the video actually, if you can, you know, vouch down there. For the telemetry, this part doesn't matter, but I show my FPS, the server, and the packet loss. Then we're going to be turning off all of these things. The more so important parts are going to be over at the color customization. We're going to be putting that color filter on 2, color filter target on both, world color intensity and the interface color intensity, both at 100, making the game as vibrant as possible. And I actually am kind of curious, what color do you make your enemies? I know a lot of people make it pink or they make them yellow. Yellow to me just blends in too much, but I just, you know, make my team green. Party is going to be on blue, which I just think that's all default. And then for the HUD balance, we're going to want to lower this so then we don't have to look at, like, use our eyes to look up at the top left as much. It's just, you know, brings everything a little bit closer. For the minimap shape, we're going to put that on square just so you can see a little bit more of the map. We're going to have that rotation on, the radar off. That doesn't do anything at all. For the compass type, I have mine on minimap, although I think you can just turn that off because the compass, yeah, it doesn't do anything at all. For the vehicle HUD prompts, fade after 10 seconds. This stuff doesn't matter. But until we get down to the crosshair, you're definitely going to want this. This is going to be applied to, like, your center. And remember what I was talking about before, you need to basically have passive aim. So wherever that white dot is that you see on the right, you need to make sure that could be where an enemy is. So all you have to do is ADS and fire your gun, making it so much easier to actually play the game. We're gonna have that center dot on larger, crosshair spread on, crosshair opacity 100, crosshair color gonna be on that scion. And then if you're on a big TV, you probably want to have it on largest. And a lot of good players do have it on default. I don't know how people see that, so I have mine on larger. And then that should wrap it up for everything. Just make sure this is going to be, there should be one thing on here where you can basically turn it on to static, although I don't see where that is. Okay, I'm not sure if they took it out of the game or something, but I swear down here before it used to ask if you want it on static or not. I think just by default it's on. Oh, there we go. Now we got static. Okay, sorry, there we go. Make sure it's on static and then show the full name of the players, makes it a little bit easier to spot them. And I think that really does wrap it up for the new and improved settings. You guys can see a lot of the settings were just basically the same, but a lot of your stuff does change at the beginning of the game, or, you know, it's just good to go over them all again. And so that's why I always remake these videos. And seriously, if you guys do like the control freaks, make sure you guys consider getting some of those. But with all that said, I hope you guys do enjoy, and deuces.